darkness has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the presence has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I don't know what's going on there. We apologize about that. Now we will have our Black History Fact of the Day by our senior advisor, Ms. Patrice Perry. Let's clap her up as she comes.
Thank you, Ashley. Good evening, Huddle family. Good evening. So our Black History Fact, this day in Black History, October 21st, 1989. Bertram M. Lee and Peter C.B. Bino became the first African-American owners of a professional basketball team on October 21st, 1989. Bertram M. Lee and Peter C.B. Bino made sports history as the first African-American owners of a major league sports franchise on October 21st, 1989, when they purchased the first NBA team from media executive Robert Woosler. And Bino and their investors put up $8 million, giving them 37.5% ownership of the team. Though the deal, they co-managed the team. A previous deal fell through on October 10th of that year when Lee and Bino Broadcasting executive Bino, who was 38, was a real estate developer. Currently, Bino is the CEO of Rewards Network, a restaurant marketing company. Lee died of a brain aneurysm October 7, 2003 in Washington, D.C. So thank you for listening. And again, our Black History Fact was Bertram M. Lee and Peter C.B. Bino. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Treese. All right. Now, we'll start with that. Action alerts and announcements by myself, and then we will jump right into the good news. So if you have good news on announcement, get ready because that's next. All right. Hi, Sage. All right. So GOTV. What does GOTV stand for? It's not a trick question. Nobody knows? GOTV?
But you don't need it.
Nobody knows what GOTV stands for? No. Get out the vote?
Get out of here. Oh.
So GOTV stands for Get Out the Vote. All right, I know that's an older term, and that's a traditional term for the civil rights movement, but we still use that today for those who are organizers and on the ground. So GOTV, when you see that online, when you see that on Instagram, Twitter, social media, GOTV, when our elders say they're on a GOTV tour, that means they're getting out the vote, all right? Are we aware of that now? Are we clear?
Okay.
All right. All right, so Reverend Sharpton is leading a GOTV tour. We went to Ohio this past week, last week, and then we're headed, we had one in Michigan. Charles Williams, our Michigan chapter lead, led that this past week as well. And then there was a stop in Philadelphia, and then there was an upcoming stop this Thursday as well, and then there will be 2 more stops next week. So Rev is mourning, as Damien said, but he has not stopped. Tomorrow we will bury my uncle, Uncle Sonny, his oldest brother, but he has not stopped. As Rev knows, when his mom passed away, he did not stop. He literally continued on to basically stand with Trayvon Martin's family. So continue to pray with Reverend Sharpton as he is getting out the vote. How many days are we until Election Day? Does anybody know? 15. Election Day is November 5th, right? What's today? So we got 10 more days left, and then 5 more, right? Okay, so 15 days left until Election Day, so it's a busy, busy time. I know y'all, everybody in here, registered to vote, ready to vote, have your voting plan, know where you're going to vote, right? Yes. Right, all right, so those watching, make sure you have your voting plan, know who you're voting for. It's not just the presidential election. Everybody's clear on that, right? All the way down it matters, right? It's local elections happening. Early voting has begun in some places. So we want you guys to be ready and engaged and know what's going on. Not just November 5th. Some people have already cast their vote. So salute to you. Know who you're voting for. Again, do your research. Don't get there and be like, I don't know these names, I'm confused. You had time, you have so many resources, let's use them, all right? All right, we're going to Ohio. We went to Ohio this past week. That was actually phenomenal to see Reverend Jesse Jackson, to see Jesse Jackson Jr., the former congressman, talk about basically connect the history of it, from why the vote matters, why Kamala is a choice, why Trump is dangerous, to talk to the faith leaders in Ohio. Everyone knows it's a battleground state. We were outside talking to people on the ground. I know here in New York, we don't understand how pivotal, but it's real. Some people are not impressed with Kamala Harris. A lot of people has their attention on Trump, but they don't even want to vote. So it's a problem, and we need this engagement on the ground. We heard Christian Matthew last Monday. He was here. He is in Albany, in college, and he said basically a lot of people on his campus are not voting. They said they don't care, they're not coming back, and then he also underlined the point about absentee ballots. So we have to just make sure, even though some people are not going to vote this election, those who are willing, we have to make sure that they have the resources to get there. All right, so we have to make sure that the absentee ballots are there. We have to make sure that those who are interested have the proper information and know how to get to where they have to get to on the 5th or beforehand. All right? Clear? All right. Anybody participating in our 30 days of prayer for democracy? Raise your hand. Okay, good. All right, good. All right, well, tomorrow, everybody say tomorrow. 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock.
Charles Williams, Reverend Charles Williams, who's a national leader from NAN, National Action Network. He's NAN Michigan Chapter's NAN's Michigan Chapter President, Midwest Regional Director, but he's a giant. If you know him, if you've been at convention, if you've heard him, he's spoke here several times. He's a phenomenal leader, and he's leading prayer tomorrow at 12 o'clock on the prayer call line. Wherever you are, it doesn't matter if you're on the train, wherever you are, it's literally a call. If you have service, dial a number. It's literally no longer than 10 minutes. But everybody needs prayer, we all believe. But when we collectively come together in his name, things happen, things shift, and we just want things to shift in the direction that we need them to go. All right, so join us tomorrow, 12 o'clock. Join us for the rest of the prayer calls until November 5th. The last day will be the 5th for Election Day, and that's under the leadership of Nelson Rivers, our general, our religious affairs general and leader, and Trudy Lucas. Salute to them always for your leadership. All right, Fight for DEI continues. Our local general is not here today, Mr. Ernest Waters. So anybody can tell us which week we are in for DEI? Chaplain Jay, you were outside. You've been outside a few times. I see you in the pictures. 42? All right, 42. Let's clap her up. That's a good number. And let's salute. 42 weeks is not an easy task. 42 weeks they have been outside. I said they, because I have not been out there 42 weeks, but they have been out there for 42 weeks outside. Full energy. Dan, salute to you. You've been outside. I see you. Just clap. Be proud. Clap yourself up. Yes. Be proud. Damien was at a few. He wasn't at all of them, so he with me. But salute to you, those who have been outside, sacrificing your time in that hour with Ron McHenry and that contingency who are so dedicated to fighting for DEI. DEI stands for what, Damien? All right. DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are in the right place tonight. All right, sometimes I get confused, but we are in the right place tonight. All right, so this is our 42nd week. Let's make sure we support Reverend Ron on this Thursday at 12 o'clock as well. There's also, is there legal night this week, Tree?
Yes, ma'am.
There's also, Thursday's a full day with the National Action Network.
Judges.
All right, so we will have our legal night, which has been renamed to the Michael A. Hardy, Michael Anthony Hardy Legal Night. Let's clap that up. We will be here Thursday night. You can tune in online, of course, but we prefer you to come in person. And if you have a crisis or if you have an issue, we can come speak to Tree. Tree is our National Crisis Director. Lawyers will be here. Judges will be here to help you in real time. All right? All right. So I'm almost done with my announcements. All right, we are celebrating Reverend Sharpton's birthday in California on October 31st. We love Rev. We salute Rev. We've been celebrating Rev since October 3rd, and we will continue to celebrate Rev because it's a monumental year. A lot of civil rights leaders never got to their 40th birthday, so it's a blessing that he got to see his 70th birthday, and he is outside. I don't know if you've seen from basically the coverage locally to national. Reverend Sharpton is local outside to walking up the street to stand there for the 4-year-old young man with that family, to also making sure he made it to Georgia to speak with the vice president about the issues and make sure we talk about it. So I just want to salute him, salute to my father for your leadership and continue on the battlefield, irregardless of the fight, and everything that's going on along with the National Network. Even if he's not there, he approves it and knows what's going on. So salute to you for your leadership, and we will continue on in this fight. All right, now, that is the action alerts and announcements from Dr. Jamal Watson, and our prayers are still with you, Brother Watson, who lost his mother last week. So we're praying for you and your family. Anybody know what ACA stands for? Coco, you should know what ACA stands for. We all work in the governmental field. The Affordable Care Act. Anybody remember that? It's not ACS. Not ACS, Lisa. ACA. All right. So it's that time of year again. In most states, the Affordable Care Act annual open enrollment season for health plans is health care. Free health care begins November 1st and lasts through January 15th. Current enrollees who do not update the information or select an alternative will be automatically re-enrolled in their current plan, or if that plan is no longer available, into a plan with similar coverage. Last year marked a record enrollment of about 21 million. In most states, consumers must enroll by December 15th to get coverage that begins on January 1st. So that's free health care. That's Affordable Care Act. So make sure if you don't have it, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you have until mid-December to get it and to start it by January 1st. That's important announcement about Affordable Care Act. And Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have a lot to do with that, because one is for it and the other is trying to kill it. But we'll talk about that later. All right. Now, Jordan Neely. Everybody know who Jordan Neely is. We've been talking about that for the last 2 months, correct? All right. But we've been a part of it since it happened, but we've been talking about it here for the last 2 months. All right, so jury selection begins today in the criminal trial of Daniel Penny, who killed Jordan Neely on a subway train. Jury selection for the criminal trial of Daniel Penny, a U.S. Marine Corps veteran charged with manslaughter for putting a deadly chokehold on subway performer Jordan Neely aboard a New York City train last year, began today. The court proceedings against Penny, who is 25 years old, are expected to last 6 weeks. Penny is regarded by some New Yorkers as a white vigilante who caused the death of Neely, a 30-year-old black man. Others have applauded Penny's actions and hailed him as a good Samaritan. If you've been watching the news, there was coverage today about some protesters down there with signs, and somewhat, people painted, depends on which story you saw, is different, how they covered it was different. We were there for when the first trial started, well, not trial, basically the first meeting that even happened at the court. But basically, we want to make sure that our presence will be there. This week is just a jury, but we still encourage you to go. If you are going, and I know we are being watched, so I'm being very particular in how I'm speaking. If you are going, it is down on Center Street in Manhattan. We are formally organized, but I'm just saying this on the public line. It's at the Manhattan Criminal Court. I suggest you be there at 8:30 a.m. National Action Network will definitely be there for the next 6 weeks. It will not officially begin until Friday or Monday. I'm not saying when it will begin, but it will officially begin and we will be there. So if you are interested in being there, make sure you are ready. Of course, we go, in the Kingian tradition of nonviolence, so we're not going to be provocateurs, but we are going to make sure that they know that our presence is there. We stand with the Neely family, and we stand against what happened on that train. Daniel Penny is not a hero at all. So we want to make sure that our presence is there and it has begun. Like I said, if you want to begin and attend the jury processing, be my guest. We are open to that, and you will see some of us down there as well. But we will definitely be present. And Ron McHenry and myself with Huddle will also be organizing that formally as far as when the trial, our presence will be there. But let's say his name, Jordan Neely. Jordan Neely. Justice for Jordan Neely. Justice for Jordan Neely. Thank you very much. All right, so that's the end of my announcements and action alerts. All right, is everybody an updated member of the National Action Network for this year? If you are, please raise your hand. All right. Who's not? Oh, so I don't have to remember okay, so I don't have to worry about that. Everybody in this building is a member. That's right. All right. If you have not renewed your membership, those online, those who are watching, and even the trolls, because we would like you to join us as well. If you have not renewed your membership, the best way to stay informed and in the action is to become a member of NAN. Stay informed at NAN events close to where you live. Text JUSTICE, JUSTICE, followed by your state to 59769. Again, that's text JUSTICE, followed by your state to 59769. And remember to join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. at the National Action Network right here or online for the Saturday Action Rally, 9 to 11 a.m. Reverend Al Sharpton speaks at 10 a.m. But you should come at 9 because the 9 a.m. hour is getting hit. It's lit. So make sure y'all on time. So I'm starting to get here earlier as well. So, all right. Now we have open huddle and announcements. Anybody have open huddle announcements? Anyone? Before we go to our Did You Know? No announcements? No good news? Okay. Chaplain Jade? Damore? We got actually great news. Oh, is that on?
Hello, Huddle.
Oh,
New York Liberty won!
yeah! That was actually...
After 20-something?
Yes.
Yes. That's my good news about... Yes.
There you go.
Did it.
In the building.
Okay, so you tapped in because that was actually the good news article. Jonquel Jones elevates Liberty to historic WNBA championship. After facing heartbreak in their previous 3 final appearances, Bahamian basketball sensation Jonquel J.J. Jones finally achieved her dream of winning a championship in the Women's National Basketball Association as she led the New York Liberty to glory. So we definitely wanted to talk about that and salute to her because she's the MVP. But they had an incredible season, and we're New Yorkers. We're a friend, of course, to Teresa Weatherspoon, who's a vet here. She's a vet. She started at the New York Liberty. So salute to them on that championship. That's good news. That's historic. Let's hype that up. Yes, this is the years of the women. Let's go. All right? And New York. Any other announcements? Any other good news? Domino? So let's clap up Dominique Sharpton. My sister, yesterday, while we were having Rev's interview, and salute to Reverend Sharpton, that's great news. He had a stellar interview with Vice President Kamala Harris yesterday. If you didn't see it for Politics Nation, I thought it was interesting. They talked about child tax credit. They talked about the war. They talked about reproductive rights. They talked about a whole bunch of things. So I think it was great. But while he was doing that, while we were doing that in Georgia, Dominique Sharpton, my sister, and her best friend, they have a production company for those who don't know. If you don't know, now you know. And it's an official one. It's not too big. It's a real production company. And on Broadway. And basically, if you heard of Hell's Kitchen, it was like a Broadway hit. That was like the hit of Broadway this season. That was one of her shows. And yesterday was opening night for Sunset Boulevard, which is a huge Broadway play. Let's clap that up. So I was super proud. I'm so proud of Dominique and Haley Swindle. They had a stellar opening night. We're going to make sure that we get some tickets to support that. Right, Damo? Yeah, and if you have some young people, we'll see young people, that's incentive for y'all to bring in young people, but they don't bring them just to go to the play. You have to come to Huddle. All right? Right. So, we definitely want to do that. We have someone dancing at the mic, so let me stop talking. But I just wanted to salute Dominique and Haley on Sunset Boulevard. And it's on the same block, Sunset Boulevard and Hell's Kitchen, which is incredible. All right, Mark Zell, busybody.
Tell us what's going on.
So, my good news is that my mom took me to the Prospect Park Zoo yesterday.
Excellent. So Marcus Howell loves animals, obsessed with animals. So that's a big deal for him because he loves animals and he was taken to the zoo.
By the way, Ashley,
Yes,
Howard
say two.
University has just celebrated 100 years.
So Say Two said that's great news. Let's clap that up. HBCU, historically black college and university, Howard University. Also, Vice President Kamala Harris's alma mater celebrates their 100th anniversary. Salute to them. The other HU, because I went to Hampton, so that's the other HU. That's not the real HU. Yes, Lisa.
The New York Yankees is in the World Series.
The New York Yankees are in the World Series. Dominique, we need tickets for that. Our young people and young at heart. Our young people and young at heart.
And the New York Liberty won.
Yeah, you was late, Lorianne. That means you was not watching Huddle. We already announced the New York Liberty won.
My bad.
It's a great year in sports for New York, all right? All right, all right.
We gotta do something about the Knicks.
All right, them Knicks, we're not talking about them Knicks. Good day to the Knicks. They need prayer. We don't have that strong faith there for them. All right, so we have no more announcements and good news? All right, let's move along. All right, so now we're going to start our Did You Know articles. Dominique is going to start us off talking about what's 15 days away? What's 15 days away? 15 days. Election, we just went over this. You have short-term memory. It's election day. It's 20. Come on, Dominique.
Can I talk out along a little bit about the maternal health? We're supposed to come up with the announcement. Can I do it now? Okay.
Good evening, Huddle. Good evening. So before I get into the Did You Know, I wanted to talk briefly about another very important issue that we've been dealing with at National Action Network. And it's around Black maternal health. So we know that there's been major disparities, especially in the Black community, around maternal health, around saving infant mortality. And so National Action Network, many of you also came, we have kicked off a series of mental health forums, one of which we had here at the House of Justice not too long ago, and we addressed stigmas around mental health around Black men in the Black community. Well, on Thursday, we have partnered with NYU McSilver Institute, and this is the NYU McSilver Institute for Poverty, Policy, and Research, and we're going to be co-sponsoring a legislative breakfast entitled Saving Lives, Shaping Policy, a legislative breakfast on Black maternal health. The event is free, and we want to make sure that everyone in the room who is interested in attending, as Nan is a partner and sponsor of this event, if you're interested in going, Reverend McHenry is actually collecting names of individuals who would like to attend. We do have a table, and so it is first come, first serve. If you'd like to attend, you can call the House of Justice here tomorrow. 877-626-4651. Oh my God, I have so many numbers to remember. And put your name down on the list. But the goal of this breakfast is to really feature state and city elected officials and policymakers who will join practitioners, advocates, and researchers in a roundtable discussion on the state of Black maternal health in New York. This discussion will focus on legislation particularly that currently exists to address areas of need, while also looking forward to upcoming legislative priorities. And we are very interested in highlighting a lot of the work that a lot of our constituents and partners have been doing around maternal health and around infant mortality, like I said, mental health, and various entities that are concerning to us in terms of our health and the lives of our children. And so we want to, of course, make sure that everyone is aware of this, that you can join us. And we want to also continue the advocacy around Black, mental health, and around advocacy around these issues around mental health, and of course, as it relates to maternal health and Black maternal health. So we hope that all of you, it's a very interesting conversation that we're going to be having, and we hope that you'll join us. Again, the event is free, but you have to register to attend, so you can call the House of Justice 877-626-4651. By Wednesday, let Reverend McHenry know that you will join us. Okay, did you know?
Date, time, location.
NYU McSilver Institute. Call the House of Justice, get all the info you need. This Thursday, starting at 8:30 a.m. It's breakfast, so we ain't coming rolling up in there at 10 o'clock. It's not a brunch, it's a breakfast. So we gotta get there early. All right, it's also DEI Thursday, so plan to be with Nan all day. You know how it goes. We'd love to have you join us. All right, did you know? So as Ashley mentioned, we're 15 days away from this monumental and critical election. And on yesterday, Reverend Sharpton traveled to Atlanta, Georgia, where he sat down and did an exclusive interview one-on-one with Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, y'all ain't clap that up. That's a good, yeah. And the Vice President said some things in the interview that, that's been circulating widely. We want to talk about it. So first thing, she says that Trump's behavior demeans the presidency after his vocal remarks. So many of y'all know that she's going to keep it real with the Rev. And Rev is going to make her, talk about some things that she may not necessarily be too comfortable or safe talking about in other spaces. So we thank Rev for being a close ally and being a real advocate to really pushing the agenda of what we need on the table and really pushing what we want to get done to the forefront. So we want to thank Rev for doing that and being consistent with that, because even when he stands alone, he's out there and he's going to do it. He's going to keep it real and he's going to be himself. So we thank Rev for his authenticity and for just, staying in the fight. But in an interview on yesterday with the Rev, Vice President Kamala Harris responded to a profanity-laden insult that former President Donald Trump used about her tenure as vice president, saying he had not earned the right to hold office again. The American people deserve so much better, she told Reverend Sharpton on his show, according to a transcript released by the network. She later added that Donald Trump should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States. He has not earned the right. He has not earned the right, and that's why he's going to lose. Reverend Sharpton asked her to react to street talk from someone who wants to be president, referring to a rally that Mr. Trump held in Pennsylvania just on the day before, on Saturday, after he descended to new levels of vulgarity with remarks about the late golfer Arnold Palmer. Mr. Trump encouraged his audience to yell profane words to describe the Biden-Harris administration and even added a little bit of his own. Now, in another conversation, Vice President Kamala Harris, I just wanted to say, she did an interview with Charlemagne the God, right, on The Breakfast Club. And the conversation, I think the conversation questions were very different from Rev's. We didn't expect them to be along the same lines, but Charlemagne asked her specifically about her concerns about black men voting for her in America. We know, like, we've had this conversation many times, and we've been seeing in the media, you know, in terms of the polls they've been doing and a lot of the rhetoric and things that people have been putting out there, that there's a lack of support from black men who want to stand with Vice President Kamala Harris and her candidacy. And so this article talks about, you know, will black men actually vote for Kamala Harris? Well, they said over 80% have supported the Democratic nominee, 80%, y'all. So what are they talking about, first of all? And then other than black women, no other voting demographic votes are consistently or as loyally for the Democratic Party. So black people turn out and vote, okay? Let's just face the facts. That's a myth that black people don't vote. Now, we do have some brothers and sisters we need to pull up and elevate and, you know, help educate and get them to the polls. We do know that. We know the disparities also lie everywhere. So we know that, you know, there's no cookie cutting fitting president or candidate, I think, that's going to fit for everybody, right? So we already know that. But sexism is real in America, and that's the case across all the races. In fact, support for Vice President Kamala Harris is abysmally low among white men compared with black men. So they're saying that obviously white men seem to not support her more than black men. So where's this coming from? It's also true that black men across the country rose immediately to the occasion, not missing the opportunity to organize and raise millions of dollars in support of her historic efforts. Still, we can't ignore the concern of some that are investing in our politics who won't deliver the change that so many black men have been seeking. Good paying jobs, security for their families, and a life of purpose and dignity. Among black men, questioning whether voting one more time will really make that big of a difference is a form of cynicism that tragically has roots in reality. Whatever else you say about him, Donald Trump has been effective at weaponizing voter angst and the wanting faith in our institutions, especially among working class voters. So it's important to get this straight. By every reasonable metric, Harris offers black men an agenda and opportunity for change, and speaks directly to the fact that not all of us are feeling the effects of a strengthening post-pandemic economy. It includes small business loans for black entrepreneurs and training for jobs in growing industries. This is about creating opportunity and generational wealth, and it doesn't hurt that she is meeting black men where they are, touting the initiative in black media and with personalities like Charlemagne the God and in forums with black men across the nation. So set this initiative against the Biden-Harris history of achievement, including historic numbers of black business startups and investments in HBCUs, and we have every reason to believe that it's sincere. What are your thoughts? Do you think that black men are dismal in terms of getting out the vote? They just, like, you know, saying, I'm just not doing it again. I don't see the benefits. Do you feel like rhetoric like this is the propaganda that we need to really set the course in terms of dismantling a lot of the myths that are out there about black men and voting? What do you think? Please come up and share your thoughts. Thank you. Oh, you can use that mic.
I think it's a cultural phenomenon that the statistics for voting during every presidential election year may not be exactly distinct to one another. And the reason why I'd say emphasizing some of the things that Dominique read as a part of understanding why those statistics may have covariance and variables that influence what exactly would be the interest of the voter as being represented by their voting numbers, to be inferred can reveal aspects of the cultural phenomenon regarding voting. Yet it's important to understand that as an avid voter versus as a voter that's not as avid, there may be differences in the ways people understand how those whom we vote for represent us, and those whom we vote for may not realize how felt those particularities may be. Now, I know that might sound vague, but to someone who doesn't realize that voting can directly impact them, but just doesn't realize, that is probably the misnomer about going to the polls. So we need to realize that these government representatives that actually do things with their power, not just hold on to their power and covet it and not exercise it. They exercise their power by signing things like executive orders, placing things into law, changing legislation, which is really something that has been crucially beneficial to the American population.
And let's not forget appointing the Supreme Court members.
We need to understand how being a group of Americans has a different experience throughout different sectors and subsectors of Americanism. So I value what Dominique Trupton has mentioned regarding Vice President Kamala Harris's efforts. It seems like she's making an effort to allow voters to understand that her impact will make a significant difference, that she does plan to exercise her rights as the President of the United States to make America even more profoundly greater and better and stronger and unified and for the people than in the past. So for those who are debating who to vote for or even when to vote or at what level to vote, because we have mayoral votes, we have other votes besides the presidential election, it's important to exercise your right to vote. Even if you're a novice voter, educate yourself on who's running for government office and what it is that they intend to do that's for you, because as I've heard over and over mentioned, it is within our reach to change the world by amplifying our voice. So let's amplify our voices together by voting in unison for those that represent our core values and things that are going to place more quality in our lives to help uplift us, especially those who are a part of a population that has been dismantled in part, but continues to regain traction after tragedy and tragedy again. So keeping that in mind, go out and vote. Research how voting can impact your life.
Yes, so, okay.
Turn it up.
So, you know, one of the things that really aggravates me when it comes to this election is the division, separating black men, Spanish men, white men. At the end of the day, what policy is going to benefit us as a human race?
Right.
You understand? I by speaking in the hood to black people, you know, especially the black brothers, they like, well, we still getting shot and killed no matter who's president. So I had to look at that like, you have a point, but then that's where you should, you know, get out and exercise your right to vote. Now, they you know, sometimes they'll ask me, well, did you vote? I'm like, well, I vote when I feel led to vote. Now, my mom votes, well, she did vote every election because when she came here in the 60s, you know, it was an issue where we weren't even allowed to. So she taught me, and we tend to go voting together. She taught me that even if you don't like what's at stake, if you have a voice, because I did not vote the last election, so she was like, make sure you vote. I gotta be honest.
We had this conversation.
Yeah, we did. But this election, I'm definitely voting. I'm not gonna say who for, but you know, it's obvious. But to be honest with you, we have to start looking at policies rather than people. You know, because a lot of times we look at, okay, black woman, white man, but we gotta focus on the policy. That Project 2025 is a problem. And if you don't believe me, Go watch Hulu, The Handmaid's Tale, to see what this could potentially look like. When you don't have control of your body because somebody else, they overthrew the government and then they took control and now they're the dictators and they tell you whatever it is that they want you to do. So if you want to see what the future looks like with the wrong president, go watch The Handmaid's Tale. That's part one. Part two is, again, study the policies of each candidate. Like, what in the policies how is it going to benefit you? And pick which one you think is going to help you the most in your future. Because we saw what 4 years that Trump did. And I have to stand corrected. I did some research, and Donald Trump wasn't the reason we got the money.
No.
It was already established.
Thank you for, wait, pull it out there, say that again.
Underline.
Yeah. Yeah, I did some research. So Donald Trump was not the reason that we got the money. You understand? It was policies that were in place that just happened to come into effect when he was in office. Kind of like when Mayor Dinkins did all that work and then the one after him got all the credit. It's the same thing. So we got to be careful and mindful that when we do receive benefits, that we see who the benefits came from, what party, what do you call them things? Presidential campaign? No, the administration. So you got to figure out which, I'm sorry. You got to figure out which administration is the reason why you got money. So I'm out here spreading the word, letting everybody know that Trump did not give us that money. It just happened that we got it while he was in office, but it actually came from the Obama-Biden administration. So that's it.
Whoop, whoop.
Hi, good day everybody, and God bless everybody. I'm glad we're here together. This election seems to be very easy to decide who to vote for. Because this particular election, the question of democracy is the primary focus that everybody should have. Everybody. Because to have a candidate who clearly says they want to be a dictator, the black men need to know they're going to be the people that will be abused by a dictator. We have a candidate, a Republican candidate, who actually wanted black and Latin teenagers to be executed without due process. So it's very easy to simply vote for the candidate who is speaking about democracy. Now, to put the black men on the line, of course there's going to be a few that may decide to vote for the person who wants to be a dictator. But that's due to various reasons beyond dictatorship. So I suggest that anybody who does not clearly know what dictators do your research. They talk violence against anyone who doesn't agree with them. Democracy that will never ever exist. But to get back on point, this white reporter was asking Vice President Kamala Harris about the polls showing that black men are not really considering voting for her. And she squarely said she's not having that experience. She said, look around the audience. She just said, look. He did not ask that question again. Because there's evidence that there are a lot of black men attending her rallies in every state she goes into. And I would think there's even more black men now that the #1 black man, former President Obama, gave them a good talking to and expressed the views that are obvious for the black men who didn't want to vote for a woman because she's a woman. He dealt with that issue, and they had to own that. And then also, some were afraid to really vote for a Democrat because they're Republican. They can keep being Republican. Now they know there's a lot of Republicans for Kamala Harris, so they can get their courage up. Because the real issue is democracy versus dictatorship. Very easy. We're not in a position to learn policies. It's not even about policies now. We have to keep this democracy and vote for every Democrat who's running. Whether we know their policy or not, get a Democrat in those 2 houses then we'll have a voice that will have to be heard. But if there's a dictatorship, they're shutting everything down and cutting everybody off, except for the ones that they call billionaires. So it's very easy for us to really make a decision for our own protection to vote for the candidate who wants democracy, where a person can shout her out and say whatever they want to say, and she will not talk about lynching them, shooting them. She can handle it. That's what you can do in a democracy. You can speak your mind to any candidate, and they're supposed to be able to handle it. We have a Republican candidate who wants to shoot and kill somebody who disagrees with him. We have to do what's right, so we can have this voice that we claim we want to keep. The only way to keep it is to vote for the candidate and candidates who want this democracy. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you. We do have to get some other did you knows on it, so let's keep our comments.
I'm Tonka from the Bronx, and I want to say we began this meeting with the Proverbs that wisdom is the crown. As an educator, when I see the commercials, I do not like the person talking about the opponent, mentioning their name, talk about what you want to do. I think that we should not vote for color. I think since 9/11 we're under an attack. Wisdom is what we should look for. We should look at the way people talk. Donald Trump had 2 assassination attempts, so there's badness out there that wants to kill. I don't like the death penalty at all. I know we're a free country, and I know that everybody comes from a different point of view. If you stand over there and take a snapshot of the room, and you stand over here, you're going to get a different perspective. So I don't think we should be, I think black men who are not looking for wisdom and are wanting to look for color, I think they'll probably go because, you know, they're comfortable, they're the same color. But it's not an issue of color, it's creed. Because Jehovah's Witnesses are all over the world big, they don't even vote. Okay? So I think that our issue is about creed. We're a Christian country, and our king is Christ, the King of Kings, and the Blessed Mother from the Department of Defense in the 1800s. So I think we have to really think, because when television became for money, every leader lost their voice, and it could be tainted with. So we have to be very careful. So I think I like it when it used to be, when you work for the government, you're not supposed to support what party you go for, because that's why we have elections every 4 years. So it's like the totem pole. It keeps the equilibrium of democracy not go like this or like this. It's balanced, because Democrats think one way, Republicans think another way. But I think the main thing everybody must return to is Christianity, because some people, Christ died so we don't feel pain. And we are feeling pain. The food is up, they're bioengineered. Watch the movie The Boys from Brazil, because I was a Marine and they did not know why there was World War II, and they're making movies. Oppenheimer worked for Bell Labs, and Hitler and FDR had a phone. That's why when he heard about the war, we have nothing to fear but fear itself. So let's use wisdom, okay? Christianity, because he died so we could get rid of death, and you all know I said cryogenic.
Really quickly, as did you know? And I would like to take this moment to share with my brothers and my uncles and my grandfathers and my cousins who identify themselves as either black and or Hispanic. It's very important that we go out and we vote this election for Kamala Harris. Why is it important? It is important because we have 2 Supreme Court justices' seats up for grabs. And if Donald Trump becomes the President of the United States once again, those 2 seats will once again go to the Republican Party, and all of our rights and civil liberties will be taken away. That is what the motive is of the Republican Party and of those of the Proud Boys and the MAGA groups, is to take our rights away. So we have this man who is glorifying illegal activity and glorifying the criminalization and criminal behaviors, only so that we will engage in those behaviors, get arrested, be put back in jails and back in prisons, and be put back into life of slavery. Because when you're arrested and when you go to jail, you are to become a slave. They take away your name and they give you a number. So you are enslaved to the state in which you have been incarcerated. So those are just two reasons on why we need to go out and vote. The third reason is why many of us have mothers, many of us have sisters, many of us have aunts, godmothers and grandmothers, who are, of course, are women. They're trying to take away their rights, or they've taken away their rights of abortion. This is an important right that women have. We need, as black men and Hispanic men, we need our women to be able to have these procedures done. One, to protect their health, and two, in case there's a situation where the fetus is not viable, and things happen sometimes. Let's just be realistic. And to take away the right for a woman to have an abortion is just really not a good thing. And so I'm going to encourage each and every man out there to get up on November 5th and go out 6 a.m. The polls open up at 6 a.m. They close at 9 p.m. Please don't be discouraged. Please get up and vote. Our civil liberties are at stake. Our rights and civil liberties, our privileges are at stake. So please, each and every one of you, come on out and vote.
Hey, Miss Sandra, we gonna park it right here, if that's okay. You don't know the question? We didn't ask the question. But what do you feel about the myth or dispelling the myth of black men voting for Vice President Kamala Harris? That's the topic we're talking about. Would you like to comment? We got 1 minute.
We, as a people of
Step closer to the mic so we can hear you.
As a race of people, we have to get out and vote. Just, well, I have a cold. I need my mask on. But as a race of people, as we are, I come here to get the information that Dr. Reverend Sharpton gives out, and I'm trying to put it into my children. Some people, they don't understand what's going on, but we must continue to support her. Somebody gave her a job, she worked for a job, she went to school, she knows what she's doing. We must back her up. We must back her up.
All right. Thank you so much for your comment. Those of you who did not get to check out Reverend Sharpton's interview with Vice President Kamala Harris, I encourage you to go to our website and check it out. It was very informative, very good. I think is, setting us on the right path and course for what we have to look forward to in the next 15 days. But we know we got to up the ante. We got to do the work. So we're going to be in, I think, 3 cities this week, starting with Atlanta tomorrow. Then the West Coast next week. So we'll be doing Phoenix, Arizona, Las Vegas, California, and then back for the, the last, big, pulling into the station moment for November the 5th. So we also want to make sure you regulate, know your early voting, know where your poll site is. Make sure everyone in your building, your community, your school, where you work on your job, make sure everybody is informed and have their information, and we're all ready to go and do our part. All right, thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll be sending more updates and continuing this discussion as we get closer and closer to this date. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dominique, our Huddle co-chair and National Director of Membership and Special Projects. All right, next I'm going to do a Did You Know, then we're going to read. Damien has a Did You Know because we have a little time, and then Treese is going to take us home. Where did Treese go? Okay, I'm sorry. All right, and salute, my cousin is in the building from Niagara Falls. I'm sorry for the diversion. Salute fireman Bass, stand up Earl Bass. Fireman, sorry. It's inspired. If anybody wants to, know about firefighting, talk to him. All right. No, I'm about to. Okay. Sorry. All right, so my Did You Know is short. It's informative. I don't have a question, but if you have a comment, you are welcome to come to the mic with brief remarks. If not, then we will move right along. All right, so everybody knows who the Central Park exonerated 5 are, correct? Yeah. Let's clap them up, give some respect. All right, the Central Park exonerated 5 are suing Donald Trump for jogger case remarks made at the presidential debate. Finally. The men formerly known as the Central Park 5, before they were exonerated on Monday, filed a defamation lawsuit against Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump. With Election Day 2 weeks away, the group accused the former president of making false and defamatory statements about them during last month's presidential debate with Vice President Kamala Harris. The group is asking for a jury trial to determine compensatory and punitive damages, open quotes. Defendant Trump falsely stated that plaintiffs killed an individual and pled guilty to the crime. These statements are demonstrably false, the group wrote in federal complaint. This has all happened today, so this is all very new. The men are upset because Trump essentially defamed them in front of 67 million people, which has caused them to seek to clear their names once again, all over again. Co-lead counsel Shannon Specter, who's their counsel, told the Associated Press in an email. Specter had no comment when asked if there were concerns. Some see the lawsuit as purely political because of the group's support for Harris. We are seeking redress in the court, Specter said. Trump spokesperson Stephen Chung decried the suit as just another frivolous election interference lawsuit filed by desperate left-wing activists. That's how they view us. In an attempt to distract the American people from Kamala Harris's dangerously liberal agenda and failing campaign. Don't see any results of failing. But anyway, Trump campaign officials did not immediately respond to emails seeking comment. Yusef Salaam, Councilman Yusef Salaam, Antron McCray, Kevin Richardson, Raymond Santana, and Corey Wise were teenagers when they were accused of the 1989 rape and beating of a white woman jogger in New York City's Central Park. The five, who are black and Latino, said they confessed to the crimes under duress, which we all know the story very well. They later recanted, pleading not guilty in court, and were later convicted after jury trials. Their convictions were vacated in 2002 after another person confessed to the crime. After the crime, Trump purchased a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the teams to be executed. The jogger case was Trump's first foray into tough-on-crime politics that preluded his full-throated populist political persona. Since then, dog whistles and overtly racist rhetoric have been fixtures of Trump's public life. In the September 10th debate, Trump misstated key facts of the case when Harris brought up the matter. Open quote, they admitted, this is Trump, they admitted they said they pled guilty, and I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately, and they pled guilty, then they pled not guilty, Trump said. He appeared to be confusing guilty pleas with confessions. Say that again. He appeared to be confusing guilty pleas with confessions. Also, no victim died. The now exonerated five, including Salaam, who is now a New York City councilman, and I know people are like, what? No victim died. Say that again. It was a rape. So he didn't even know what he was calling for. He was just like, that's what I'm saying. He's not even competent enough. He's not with us. And we're talking, this man is running for president. Anyway, I'm sorry. Going off topic. The now exonerated five, including Salaam, who is now a New York City councilman, have been campaigning for Harris. Some of them spoke at the DNC, which we all saw in August, calling out Trump for never apologizing for the newspaper ad. They have also joined civil rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, for a Get Out the Vote bus tour, which they'll be joining us on Thursday. Prior defamation suits involving Trump have led to sizable amounts awarded to the plaintiffs. In January, a jury awarded $83.3 million to advice columnist E. John Carroll over Trump's continued social media attacks against her claims he sexually assaulted her in a Manhattan department store in 1996. In May 2023, a jury found Trump liable for sexually abusing her and issued a $5 million judgment. So, and that's the end of the article. So some people are basically saying that the lawsuit is a political stunt. Others are supporting it. If anybody wants to add to this, I'm not going to state my case. I'm going to watch and see what happened. And of course, I support my brothers and what they are doing. And I think Trump is a joke. But that's just my personal opinion. That is not a reflection of the national action. All right. Anybody else want to give a statement? Jonka, we got 1 minute.
My statement is that we're being divided, like I said. And Donald Trump is like a sugar daddy. He's a rich man. So they come and they tell him a story, and he believes them, and he spent a lot of money on that ad. They want to just get him for money. And I think that that's the sadness of what's happening, because they are separating us, and when we're separated, divided we fall. We have to be a united people of the United States.
Thank you. I don't know if he's still a rich man, but thank you for your statement. Anyone else? All right, let's be closing that Did You Know? And we'll be watching. We will definitely be watching. All right, Damien, you're going to take us home, treats, because you got the heavies. So, Damien, you're going to come yours. And also, again, a reminder, 1 minute responses, please.
Thank you, Ashley. I'd like to take this moment to thank Sister Alexis, one of our huddlers, for submitting this article. Thank you very much. Give it up to Alexis. All right, this article is themed after activists demand action after school sub-accused of reenacting George Floyd's murder in class. Woodbury, Minnesota, racial justice advocates are calling for action and accountability. That after accusations that a substitute teacher reenacted the murder of George Floyd on a student. Images that can be disturbing for some to see show what students describe as substitute teacher Stephen Williams with a knee on a student's neck. A reenactment of the police actions that resulted in the murder of George Floyd. We do know the substitute teacher in question, Stephen Williams, is no longer employed by the staffing agency. Teachers on call that Woodbury High School contracts for its substitute teachers. Williams is a police officer in Prescott, Wisconsin. The police chief says he is on administrative leave pending the results of an investigation into the murder. It was egregious, it was insensitive, and it was racist, said Nakima Levy Armstrong, civil rights attorney. Racial justice advocates say more needs to be done. He needs to be banned from being a substitute teacher anywhere in the state of Minnesota. I say anywhere in the United States, said Levy Armstrong. I also believe he needs to be fired. Who wants that kind of person coming to your door if you have to make a 911 call? Who harbors a lot of racial animosity, who claims that police brutality doesn't exist, and who is willing to demonstrate a very deadly police technique on a young black boy. Woodbury High School issued a statement to parents about what they described as a racially harmful situation that affected the school community. It listed comments and actions students described, including claims that he can get away with murder and that police brutality is not real. I do think that more drastic action needs to happen. I also think there needs to be a lot of repair work that the Woodbury School District needs to do. They need to go beyond making a statement and create opportunities for dialogue for the students to be heard, said Levy Armstrong. Woodbury High School says its Director of Equality, Equity, and Inclusion and other leaders will work to repair harm done to the students, and that's my hope. So, Sister Patrice, would you please come on up and take us home? And that is the article for this evening. Thank you, Sister Alexis, for the article. Are we having any statements and any responses to this article on this evening? Going once, going twice. Come on, Vaughn.
1 minute. Yes. Yes.
45 seconds.
Our education is being robbed because Lotto was only made legal for education. Shearson Lehman in New York City invested the Lotto money for education. They went to work, it was shut down without 2 weeks' notice. So education is being, they do something bad and they find out who's in charge, who the lawyers are. Because the lawyers are where the money goes distributed, it keeps the payroll going and everything, and we're in a lot of trouble. Our money is being robbed. We should not be paying for water. If I was running for president, the first thing I would do is bring back the fountains in the parks, the trains, and no selling water. Come out of the tap.
That's not the article, but thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so as far as the substitute teacher putting the knee on the neck, that is problematic in many ways because, for one, that was a traumatic event that reverberated around the whole world. Like everybody knew, because we heard I Can't Breathe with Eric Garner. Then we hear I Can't Breathe again with George Floyd. The man was crying for his mama. Like I said before, I had just posted, I'm not posting no more of this stuff, and then that happened. It was like I had to. Like, you cannot ignore these things. So when you have somebody jesting about it, like it was a joke, like there's certain things you just don't do. So that man should not only not be a substitute teacher, he shouldn't be allowed to work anywhere. Unless, or especially with children, because these young brains are easily influenced. And if you're in a position of authority, you're a guardian of that child. You can't just do what you want to do because you think it's funny. Because God forbid the shoe had been on the other foot and it had been black men kneeling on the knees, the necks of a white man and killing him that way, I don't think the same result, we wouldn't be having this situation. They probably would have got executed already. You understand? So I don't think it's fair that, and it just baffles me how inconsiderate, I mean, just be honest, some people are just really stupid. They don't have the common sense to say, this is inappropriate. You know, like I said, when you have children that you're taking care of, you have to be more mindful. Too much is given, much is required. You have to be diligent and astute. Like, you just can't do things like that. So it's wrong, and he should definitely get fired. And then the teachers, like the board, like the principal, they should screen these people. Same thing with the police department. Screen these people before you let them in. Because you need to know the mental health of the people and their perspective on humanity. I don't believe in race, period. I think there's one race, which is human race. Got that from the Apollo. One race. We're one human race. You understand? But I think we're all one race. And if we all focused on that, we would join more and we could do more. Because right now, there's so much split stuff that people are actually, it's like a horse being drawn in different directions. But we all need to focus on one thing, and that is respecting each human being. If something is offensive, don't do it. Especially something as traumatic as that. That's
How y'all doing? Right quick, I just wanted to say that, you know, we have been like asleep for a minute now, and so all of these things is happening, you know, you have these people, these negative agents coming up arise, and like, it's for a reason, it's to smack us away. So, you know, we have this substitute teacher, and she brings up like, screening people like back in the day, or even still today, we're not taking the proper precautions, you know, when it comes to hiring people, when it comes to putting people in power regarding the election. So these things are happening to give us more room to think harder about the decisions that we're making. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Come on up, Ash.
Amy didn't share his opinion, so I'm going to share mine. So Alexis Jackson, I don't know if you know, stand up, Alexis, please. You see her hoodie? It says We Are Floyd. So We Are Floyd is Terrence Floyd's organization, right? So you have context. She is one of the founding members of We Are Floyd, which is why this is an important article for her to bring, because it disrespected George Floyd and what happened to George Floyd. Last week we talked about how George Floyd would have turned 51 years old, and how some of the world remembered, but the rest of them did not, right? So with this happening, I don't blame the teacher from trying to explain what was going on, but as far as what the process in which they did it was unnecessary and ridiculous and disgusting. We saw something, I don't know if you guys saw it was viral last year, about basically they reenacted slavery, and they had the black kids picking cotton and being whipped, and the white kids were the slave masters, and basically it was like to reiterate the notion of how bad it was. And there's basically, we all learned about slavery, and none of us had to fake pick cotton to understand how bad slavery was. Come on, y'all. So that doesn't, let's like be real here. But I'm going, and again, I'm trying to connect it because we got 15 days. Project 2025. Education is on the table. Project 2025. They literally can do what they want to, if they choose to, if that comes into play. As far as the curriculum, as far as teachers having the ability to do what they want to do in the classroom, that's all a part of that, the liberties with that. But also, why I wanted to underline what We Are Floyd is doing is because she brought this to our attention. This happened in Wisconsin, right? So we have to make sure it's different rules, like we talked about legislation and policy. There's different rules in Wisconsin. So what we need to do, Alexis, with We Are Floyd, is to follow up about what exactly happened with the teacher. Was there, she's a substitute, so she doesn't work for the school technically, but was there anything? What was it, was the student spoken to? Was there kind of action? If there was not, then we need to take action in Wisconsin. We have people in Wisconsin as far as name. So we need to make sure that this is handled, and if we don't, then it will keep happening. And more, this is not the first time I've seen somebody talk about George Floyd and reenact a knee on somebody's neck. in the classroom. This is the second time I've seen that in the press. So the fact that you're bringing this to us, we need to make sure it doesn't keep happening because now it's happened again, right? So we're gonna follow up with you, Wisconsin, and basically hopefully have some kind of response. By next week, I see Nakima Levy Armstrong is a civil rights attorney, so we can also connect with her. All right? All right, so y'all hold us accountable because this is all in the mic and this is live. This is something that we can't just let go under the rug. And it's in Woodbury, Minnesota also talked about it, so we also have people there. So let's make sure Woodbury High School knows that we are looking at them, they are on the map, and this teacher has to be held accountable, correct? All right, all right. Now the last one. This is our last Did You Know? We got 20 minutes. All right, so last week, also, we talked about it for those who were here, horrible situation, tragic situation with 4 young people, 4 babies were found. One of them were found dead. A 4-year-old was the youngest. He was found dead, allegedly starved to death by his parents. Both of his parents have been arrested since then. When we announced it, when we talked about it last week, Treese did that Did You Know article. It was on the news. I was literally driving up in Huddle with mommy in the car and heard it on the news and put it in the Did You Know articles. Had no idea what was going to happen. It's literally right up the street. Literally later that week, I think Treese will tell a story, but long story short, Warren, Stephanie McGraw became involved and is now helping with the family to advocate for what's going on. Treese is the National Crisis Director. They connected it, and there was an action on Saturday. They walked up and did a prayer vigil. Some of y'all participated, correct? All right, let's clap that up first of all. Because when there's injustice or when there's an issue, we cry loud and spare not. So thank you for those who joined as far as the action that happened. As far as what's going on with the family, and Treese will go there, we don't know. And Rev said that I think 4 times in the speech on Saturday. A lot of people have opinions, and it's like, oh, the parents and this and that. We don't know what happened there, but they are investigating it. And basically, Nan is in the middle of that with the crisis. But I just want to salute basically how action starts, what action advocacy is. Basically, there's information that happens. Basically, now the family was connected now. And Stephanie McGraw, I don't know if y'all understand, we saw Stephanie McGraw. I think she's 13 years old. But literally, we saw Stephanie McGraw and came up with Stephanie McGraw on this fight for justice in this city. So when I saw her, I had no idea why they were even here on Saturday. I thought they came just here because Dad was doing the Kamala Harris interview on my life. And literally, Stephanie McGraw was walking into, and you know McGraw, she's got an energy. So I'm like, why is she walking around? What is happening? So, and then when I saw what Dad announced it, I was like, oh, that's what's up. But it made me proud. Now, I was mad I didn't know about it. Y'all know me, I'm very, must know. But I didn't know about it, so I didn't like that. But I was happy to see Stephanie McGraw was on the case, because at the end of the day, that means that she was serious about her work. A lot of advocates come in this work. A lot of us have been here for a while. We see them come and go, energy, they get a check, they get funded, you don't see them no more. Or you see them in a big car with fake teeth and all this other stuff, and you get confused. But she was outside. And she's still outside with the people doing what it's supposed to do. So I just want to salute to her, to Stephanie McGraw. Let's clap warm up for their advocacy. And I can do better than that, because they were there heavy. And let's salute our crisis action leader, our crisis director, because she was trained for it and knew what to do and answered the call. So that's what it does. You connect the information, you connect it. Now, we don't know what's going on with those 3 young people, but they're going to need support. Just let's not forget that. One person is gone, and Rev already said he's going to handle and all of that. But at the end of the day, there's 3 other babies, and they're being held. They're not even with, they're not protected. They're emaciated. They're traumatized. Don't know what's going on. So make sure everybody keeps talking about, I'm so sorry what happened to young man. There's 3 more. So let's make sure we figure out and support how we can help those 3. We keep saying the family, like Treese is going to explain all of that, but those 3 kids, I don't know what family members are going to get them, if any. Make sure you say a prayer for them 3, because they are most impacted. Patrice Perry.
Thank you, Ashley. And thank you for everyone that joined us at the Memorial Saturday. So let's go back real quick. Last week I did do the Did You Know? And it was just ironic how Stephanie McGraw called us on Tuesday saying that the family needed Rev and National Action Network support. Yeah, I believe so, now that I think about it. But I'm going to give you a fast forward because we went into the apartment today and did God. But Harlem boy who allegedly died of malnutrition and parents held remembered at Memorial. A growing memorial in Harlem is dedicated to a boy who prosecutors say died of malnutrition at the hands of his parents. 4-year-old Jameek Motlin weighed just 19 pounds when officers found him last weekend and took him to the hospital where he died, according to prosecutors. The boy's 3 siblings, ages 5, 6, and 7. So the kids were 4, 5, 6, 7. The 4-year-old died, the youngest one, remain in the hospital, and they're being treated for malnutrition. They're unable to eat solid food, and they're being fed via IV, even to this day. It's alleged Jameek and his siblings never went to school, were isolated from the rest of the family. The Harlem community came together Saturday to support Flora Jones, which is his paternal grandmother, of Jameek Motlin. The attorney says she can't comprehend how her estranged son and the mother of her 4-year-old grandson could severely neglect him and his 3 siblings. We are investigating this matter. What we're anticipating to do is to investigate to make sure no stone is unturned related to what happened to this family, said attorney Max Silverberg, which we got him from Nan's Legal Night under Jeff Emden. The day started with the prayer service at the Reverend Al Sharpton's National Action Network. Then the crowd marched to a memorial at the building where Jameek and his parents live. A wreath was placed there in his memory. I don't want to say what should have, what could have been done, but I know that this family should not be mourning alone, Sharpton said. The organization, We All Really Matter, is helping Jones gain custody of the other children. And we know that if we cannot shine a light to domestic violence and mental illness, what is a silent killer, said CEO Stephanie McGraw. And we need you to step up, community, because if you see something, what are you supposed to do? This came from Jackie Adams, and that's what they said, say something. Jackie Rowe Adams, who's from Harlem Mothers and Fathers Saved. Say something, McGraw responded. Sharpton says his network will be paying for Jameek's funeral, which has not yet been scheduled. Natavia Ragsdale and LaRon Motlin, the deceased boy's mother and father, were both arrested after their son's death. So just give you a little quick story. We're really not going to have questions because most of you were there. So the grandmother had to get access to the house today because she had to get important documents. The baby is still being held by the medical examiner's office as a criminal investigation. But in order for her to get it, she had to have the birth certificate, the social, and all of that stuff. So that's when we were able to go into the apartment today. She could not go inside. So me and Stephanie and one of her daughters went. It was too emotional. And it was something. I might say that. It's the first time I've ever experienced anything like that in my life. But they were able to get us in and get the paperwork that we needed, along with the attorneys from here at Legal Night. The parents, the grandmother has gone to court to get the custody of the 3 kids. So they're going back on the 23rd, which I believe is Wednesday. And the judge will make a decision whether or not they think that she's fit to take on the 3 kids. However, like Ashley said, the kids need a lot of prayer. Even right now, to this moment, they cannot eat any solid food. They have not let the grandmother visit the kids at all. So we are keeping them definitely in prayer. And, once they release the body, then they can start planning for the funeral, of which they're going to have a funeral, but he's also going to be cremated. So the family is trying to, just put all of that stuff together, and then also get the other 3 kids who are in the same predicament, like the young boy was, but they're taking the intravenous, okay? So we just keep praying it every day that God gives them strength. And again, it's a sad situation that happened literally a couple of doors down, which is, those of you who were with us on Saturday, is literally right here across the street. And when we went there today, to add insult to injury, a lot of people, we don't know who did it, but in the memorial, they put bags of food there, basically because they're saying the child was starved. So they had bagels, they had bananas, they had rice cakes, they had bags of French fries. They had all kinds of stuff in that memorial today. So imagine going to the apartment where your nephew and grandson died, but then to look at the memorial that we set there on Saturday and see the people put food there because he was starved, right? Just imagine for them just to even look at that and have to clean that up, to leave the candles and the signs and the wreath that we left there Saturday. So it's a lot going on. The grandmother still don't understand, how all of this could have happened. And her son, like Rev said, was diagnosed with bipolar and ADHD. So, again, we're not pointing blame. We just want to make sure that these other 3 kids are living and that the memory of Jameek Marlin never goes in vain. 4 years old and you're 19 pounds. That's a lot. So please continue to keep the family in your prayers. We're working with them constantly. Hopefully before this weekend, we're able to go and the grandmother can identify him. We found her son's birth certificate, which shows that she is the grandmother. So that's what they wanted to see. So that's what we're waiting for. The apartment is not considered a crime scene anymore, but they do have it closed off and change locks and all of that stuff. So because people in the building were trying to go by and go inside the apartment and stuff like that. So, yeah. So it's a lot going on, but we pray that you keep Miss Jones, which is his grandmother, in prayer, and everyone else that's associated with it, and we'll keep you updated as far as funeral is concerned, as far as once we can get the body, and then once she can go and visit the other 3 grandkids. It's going to be a little hard, but thank God they're doing, every day they say they're getting a little bit better. So we're working on it, and we know that prayer changes things, so keep them in your prayer. Everyone say his name, Jameek Marlin. Jameek Marlin. Justice for Jameek Marlin.
Justice for Jameek Marlin.
Thank you, and that wraps up my Did You Know for today.
Thank you, Treese. And we are right on time. It's 8 o'clock. Good job, y'all. All right. Any commentary? Anybody want to add for Jameek Marlin? You want to? Real fast. We got time. You want to come back?
I'm sorry. My bad. I forgot about the pod. Sorry. So sorry.
All right, come up and share your thoughts.
So I was there Saturday. I remember riding by earlier in the week, and the neighborhood is really outraged. Like, they're really calling for the punishment of the parents. But I did, speak to a couple of people there. The neighbor said that, there was a domestic violence relationship. So that changes, that puts a lot of things into perspective. What could make you possibly neglect your own children? But if you're not even focused on yourself because you're being abused by someone you love and had children with, it kind of puts a little bit of a spin on things. Like I said, you can't make excuses for anybody, but sometimes if you take a step back and you look at the whole situation, you realize if she's getting her behind beat, like some neighbors say they used to see her with black eyes and all that, and they, one of them was like, I offered her food and she was like, no thank you. It's a sense of shame. Like when someone's beating you, and you love them, you're ashamed of it, so you kind of hide and you lay low. You understand? So there's a lot of psychological damage that comes with that. And then if he was doing that to her, well, imagine what else the children probably went through and what else they saw. So I have a lot of compassion. As a person who always wanted children, never had any, and I always think that I would have been a great mom. It's just like, well, things like this really hurt. Because like, I'm looking at God like, really? They had kids? But it's like, you gotta be compassionate at the same time. Because it was a domestic violence relationship. And I think we need to, that's why I like Stephanie, the name of, yeah, We All Really Matter. That was the organization. We All Really Matter, where they were wearing the purple shirts and stuff. So, I mean, we gotta,
It's domestic violence.
yeah, we gotta stay prayerful. And the other thing I wanted to say, because I had this thought at the event that day, we have to be careful when we're talking about people, because we never know, they might hear, and we might offend them, and instead of them opening their mouths and asking for help, they're gonna feel, well, let me not tell this person my business because they're just gonna make fun of me. So we all need to be a little bit more humane when it comes to what we see people going through, because we don't understand everything. We need to be more compassionate. And if anything, pray for people instead of talking about them.
That's right. Thank you. Come share your thoughts, Coco.
I was here when the 2 boys went missing, and the family had came here to ask for help. And with the help of Nan, the bodies were found. They were found deceased, but they was found and it was very important, and it was a triggering kind of situation as well, because the way that the story was presented to us, we was wondering what was going on with the parental guidance. And this is similar to that, because a person doesn't starve in just a couple of days.
Right.
So it's a very triggering story, and the way that Reverend Sharpton spoke on it, he did a very loving kind of presentation, had the family stand up, and it just looked like so many family members, like just like they're like the whole row, and it's like, how do you have that many family members and these kids are dead, you know? So it's a very triggering case. It is delicate, because we do know that that kind of thing happens, but just like with the Jordan Neely situation, that was delicate, and the youth huddle had us break up in groups and discuss it, because a lot of people was frustrated. We went over the details, knowing how he was in psychiatric treatment, and a lot of the social services fell, because the reports that I have heard, it's like social services was aware, like there was social service oversight. So there's a lot of components, just like with Jordan Neely, that did not do their parts. So we can't be just mad that they just take the family, because when we have situations like that, we want the criminal to be caught. So they want to target the parents, but we have a situation with mental illness, domestic violence. No, it's not. It doesn't go down that simple. You know, it's a lot of components where there's people that dropped the ball, they didn't do their part, they didn't give them the resources they were supposed to have, and now they're going to take the parents and just make them the criminal. No, it doesn't happen like that. You know, and it's wrong. And I was happy to see Reverend Sharpton speak with love, because it's a horrible situation. And those kids, they can't take solid food, and they that old. It's just really, it's like torture. It's the torture kind of situation. So it's very delicate, and I'm happy that the National Action Network has taken it like a real, you know, like the George Floyd case and everything. With the police, I said, wow, that's great, because when Nicholas died, that little boy that died in the daycare, that was very frustrating too. And you see, they caught that guy in Mexico, got his butt, and he's gonna be in jail. He's gonna be in jail for like double life. So that gives some kind of release in a way. So with this situation, we don't really have the criminal. It's always gonna be hard when you don't have an actual bad guy. You got to look at it in a different way, and that's when the component of y'all teaching us with the education of emotional distress and how we can possibly help ease with those kind of things, because domestic violence and violence and abuse and anger and trying to attack the kids, it's a lot of issues, and that happens in our community. So I just hope that we take that in consideration, and we do offer that kind of. I feel that NAN gives a great platform for people to share those. And I love the mental health training that y'all did when y'all had the men come for at the radio station. I love seeing all those men. I love how they had professionals speak, and I think those are the kind of things that we need to hear, because it's trauma, and it traumatizes the people that hear about it too. It's true.
Thank you so much.
The system failed her. The system failed me. And the system failed him, the father, the nurses, the doctors. People call when they're calling for, you missed your appointment, Miss Simpson. And they failed her. The system failed her. That's all I gotta say.
You saying the system failed the mother?
No. The family.
Because it was a young boy.
The system failed her.
Failed Jameek Marlin as a gentleman, the young boy.
The family.
No, the family.
The whole family.
The entire Marlin family.
Because they call all the time for phone numbers. Oh, you missed your appointment. Why you don't bring
Oh, I
the
see what you
children?
mean. Like no checkup and no follow-up.
The
Okay.
nurses, the caretakers.
Then nobody followed
they
up
didn't
with the
call
kids.
her to
Wellness
say,
check.
"Why you didn't bring the baby in for exam?" They failed.
The wellness check. Yeah, they hadn't been to the doctor in 2 years, by the way.
Yes, and
Is this your thought about Jameek Marlin?
No,
Because
because-
he didn't have
because
cameras in his house.
Because police, when you, first of all, as soon as this happened, I don't even think they're doing what they're supposed to do. Because we're all being under an attack. We're a free country. People are coming here for our money. But when there's a crime, and when, not only if there's an investigation, and they didn't do this with me, the first thing they're supposed to do is put the father, the mother, and do the family tree. That's how you start to understand the family, the background, where they come from. And this is why I'm saying computers are no good. All the migrants are coming here, and they're going to replace Americans. So
Thank
God
you,
bless the
Jonathan.
family, and it's
Thank
so
you, because we're
sad.
staying on topic.
Yes, they need an investigation, though.
We got to
Because
stay
this-
on
this is
topic.
The Church of Satan. And
Come on,
everything
stage,
else.
wrap us up.
That's the truth.
Thank you. And you have to stay on the topic of what we're talking about. Go ahead, sis.
My mother and I will be praying for those 3 kids tonight, and I just want to say that we have to stop turning a blind eye. We have to stop turning a blind eye, and we also have to start seeking help. You know, we have to want to help the people around us, but also help ourselves. That pertains to the DV, pertains to the bipolar, you know, and not saying getting a therapist fix everything, but why was he estranged from his mother? You know, like having these diagnoses.
That's a good question.
But making sure that you having people in your corner, like, yeah, it's but I personally, you know, my family is we all struggle. We're all struggling. So the story is definitely hits home. It's definitely saddening, but I mean, I have hope and I have faith.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Let me add to how families, how it break down. My son, y'all know the issue me and my son, we have problems, he's arrested, thrown out the house, okay. His last 2 kids he had the last 2 years, I never met them. I never met the mother. I never seen her. He was on the phone with her once and said, say hi to my mother. And he said, no, you don't, God know her because she a chicken head. I don't know those kids.
Oh, wow.
I don't know the mother. He's, not in my life right now. All that, but I have no contact with those 2 kids at all. Don't know who they are, don't know who the mother is, nothing. So this is how things get broken down.
Thank you.
That's deep. And thank you for sharing your personal story. So yeah, just to wrap it up, the kids haven't seen a doctor in 2 years. They were apparently homeschooled, and that's a question that we have. Who checks on homeschool kids? Because if a teacher or somebody was checking to make sure that they were learning, then they would have seen that the kids were malnutrition. So it's 2 different kind of stories. And I understand that today, the mother's sister is calling on to have a lawsuit with ACS. But she was one of them that was always at the house. So she saw what was going on. So apparently this afternoon, they went in front of ACS and did a press conference at 4 o'clock. Would actually, yeah, I'll leave it at that. But the sister was always there, so she knew what was going on. So now she's crying that ACS never took care of her sister, but she was in that house for her almost every day. So it's a lot going on, but again, like Ashley said, we have 3 kids who are struggling right now. And we're just trying to make sure that it's not another fatality like their little brother was. And he was the youngest out of all of them. And when you look at the picture, he was so adorable. And to have to live a life like that. And she told there's a statement that the mother said she tried to feed the kid, but every time she fed him, he would throw up and then eat his throw up. So, right, that's a lot going on. But please keep the family in your prayers. We will definitely keep you updated. We've been working with them every day. Today, I think, was the hardest day to go into the apartment when you actually have to smell and you see what was left. You see the stuff that they talked about on the news where they actually had the cabinets with the ties on it. So that was hard to see that today. But they got past it. They got through it. So now the next part is to go identify the body, that's going to be heavy. So please keep them in your prayers. the grandmother is doing all she can now. She said she, just like Chaplain Jay just said, ironically, the son didn't want the mother to come to the house, and he didn't allow her to come. So it's a lot of different aspects, but at the end of the day, you have a child that's gone, and you have 3 of them that is struggling and holding on for life. So we know we can't point fingers now, but what we can do is hopefully no other child or parent has to experience this, that they'll actually reach out and try to get some type of help, and that ACS will do what they're supposed to do and check on these kids. So that wraps up my Did You Know, and thank you all.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you all for your commentary. And we will definitely be watching and praying. That is absolutely crazy. And even though what you said about the aunt, I don't know if she's in the house all day, she has something to do with it, but ACS, that is definitely, like how many cases, like how many times we keep hearing about these kids. There was the fire before, remember the fire up the street, and they basically couldn't even get to the door because how they were living. Like this is right up the block from House of Justice. Like this is crazy. But yeah, the ACS, sorry. Thank you. With that said, I know, Janka, I'm sorry, I asked you to pray in the beginning, but just been left a little bit. Weezer, I'm sorry, would you mind joining us in closing out in prayer? But also there's something, so I grew up, come on Weezer, I'm sorry, that wasn't a question, that was kind of like a make it basically, this is my favorite cousin growing up. We were very close in age, but he loves the Lord, and he's loved him for a long time. He is probably, and I don't want to say he's cookie cutter, but he's been a great example, literally my entire life for all of us, especially the young group of cousins in the Jordans. I said he was a fireman fast, but besides that, he's an incredible person, and he has a simple quote on Facebook that he thought the first time I ever saw you write it was on Facebook. But it's basically be great, right? And he literally finishes a lot of things, not everything, but a lot of things on Facebook with be great. But those simple 2 words, it was a time, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, that encouraged me. And it was simple, and I was like, dang, Weezer, it's be great. Like, just that simple. So I want you to leave us with some encouragement about being great and then close out in prayer. If that's okay. In the name of He can also sing now. Y'all heard him sing. But I want you to share as far as being great. He encourages young people where he's at in Niagara Falls. He's on. Are you still on the board?
That's why I'm here.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, you share why you're here. Share who you are. Encourage us, be great, and pray us out. Thank you, Fireman Earl Bass. My cousin. Come this way.
Oh, this was unexpected. How you doing, everybody? So my name is Earl Bass, or as my family calls me, Weezer. That's actually my preferred name. But I am from Niagara Falls. I'm a firefighter the last 12 years and a school board member. I'm actually here for the state conference. There. That's definitely a lot different. But it's basically saying Earl Bass, Niagara Falls, firefighter. I'm here for the state school board convention, so that's why I'm actually in town. I've been a school board member for the last 9 years. I am 36. I am the youngest of our board members. I got into it when I had custody of my young cousin for 2 years, and he was the reason why I ran. There was a lot of things that our board was doing that were pretty archaic in its ways. How do you have a district that has some of the highest teen pregnancy rates in the state, and you still teach abstinence only? I think that this was irresponsible. And as a product of teen pregnancy, my parents had me in their senior year in high school. I'm the best mistake they ever made, but it's hard. And so, having young parents, I know those things that you go through, having 2 17-year-old parents. And my mom has always been very transparent, and she talked about her struggles being a young mother with other young women, trying to prevent them from making those same choices. On a personal level, my parents did try to protect themselves. I was conceived on birth control and condoms.
ironically. And that's a part, and I share that because that was another thing that my mom talked about very freely. Is that you can try to protect yourself, but ultimately, you just have to be prepared for whatever may come from the decisions that you make. Ironically, be great that's like my rally call. That's like my battle cry. And whatever you do, just be great. Strive to be, if you're a window cleaner, be the best window cleaner that you can be. There's nothing too big, there's nothing too small. I may do certain things, I can go places, see things, but I'm never too big to go clean a toilet. Our great-grandmother my great-grandmother, her grandmother raised us, Auntie Kathy's mother, she raised us to serve. So I just kind of fell into firefighting. It was, like I said, it was the best decision I didn't know I wanted to make. Otherwise, I would have been a teacher. But, and that's why the school board thing kind of ties in. I've always, Ashley talks about being an example. Her and Dominique have always been great examples for me. Seeing Ashley, y'all see her on a regular basis, but seeing my cousin blossom and grow into her own over these last few years, it is an honor to watch. But I won't stay too long. I said plenty. Just whatever you do, put your all into it. Try to give back, because the positive energy that you put out into the world will come back to you tenfold. I've been blessed with a lot of opportunities and people who poured into me throughout my life, and that's just my goal and my purpose is to give back the investment that was placed into me. So thank you for that, and I guess I'm closing prayer. Okay. So, gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, I come to you, God, thanking you for allowing us to gather here, God. Thank you for your traveling grace and your mercy, for waking us up this morning, closing our back roof over our head, God. I ask that you continue to be with those here as they do the work for the community, both locally and at large, God. Continue to lead them and guide them and keep them protected, Father. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Thank you, Leslie. God bless you.